Hi friends, welcome back to Laravel tutorial. In this video, we will going to learn about Laravel many-to-many eloquent relationship. I already discussed about Laravel one-to-one and one-to-many relation. Many-to-many relationship is a little bit complex than other eloquent relationship. To better understand many-to-many relationship, let's take an example. Suppose there may have many students and they have different type of subject, or you can say there may have users and there may have different role for each user. So in this case we will use the many-to-many relationship. In many-to-many relationship we need basically three tables. We have already user table and I'm going to create a role table. So we need to use PHP artisan make model. So I am providing my model name is role and I am creating migration along with this. So the migration table is created. So in a many-to-many relationship, we need two totally non-dependent table, means the role table and user table have not any direct relations. We need a third table which will join others two table. In third table, we have all IDs of others two table. Basically the third table is called the pivot table. So let's create another table. So we will create another model. So PHP artisan make model. Suppose I am creating a role user model and I'm going to provide the migration. So we need to use -m. So two migration is created. So if we check in our database migration folder, we'll get the create role table and create role user table. So let's modify the roles table first. I'm going to provide a role name. So I need to use the table and we will use the string, and I'm providing the column name, suppose the name. So that's all. And the role user table is the main relations table. So it will denote the relationship between the user table and roles table. So I need to use the two column here. So I am using the table and I'm using the big integer, and suppose I am providing the role ID here, role ID, and I am using unsigned, and in the same way I am providing another for user ID, and I need to create the reference key. So I will use the table foreign and the first for user ID, and I am using the references as the ID from user table, and my table name is users table. So if you check in database, so we'll get the users table, and I'm using the on delete cascading. So I'm just use the cascade, and in the same way we have the role table. So this is my role table. I need to use this. So it will reference to role table and it will be the role ID, and I'm using the same cascading. So let's migrate this two table. So to migrate we need to use PHP artisan migrate. So we can see the role table and role user table both are migrated. So if we refresh, so there are three tables, that is users, roles, and role user table. So now we need to insert some data here. So first we need to create a controller. So to create a controller we need to use PHP artisan make controller. Suppose I am providing my controller name is role controller, and here my controller is created. So let's check in controller folder. So app http controllers. So here we can see the role controller here, and I need to create a function to insert some data. Suppose I am inserting some data into the role table, so we need to use the public function, suppose add role. To insert role, we need to use the roles, and I am creating an array. So inside the array, I am creating another array. So I want to insert multiple records in a same time. So I am creating the array inside array. So the first I am providing the role is admin, and copy it several times. Suppose admin, and next staff, and suppose I am providing the accountant, and suppose HR, and okay, that's 4. So now we need to insert this record. So we need to use the role model here. So just use the role insert and the array. So here my array name is roles, and just return a statement. So role added successfully. Before that, here I am using the role, so we need to use the role here. So let's go to the model. So here is my role model. So we need to use this app model. So here we will use, and after that the name of the model is role. So we need to use these things, and now let's configure the role model. So here I am using the protected table, suppose. So my table name is roles. So I am providing the roles here, and in the same way I am going to role user model. So here I am providing the table name is role user. So like that. So my table name is role users. So in model the table name is set. So let's open the user model. So here is my user model, and let's create relations. So we need to create a function. So suppose I am creating a function that is public function roles. So I will just write return, and after that I am using this, and we need to use belongs to many here, and I need to use the class name, that is the role class here, and we need to use the class, and after that I am providing the table name, that is role users, and in the same way we need to add relations in role model. So I am using another function. So public function, suppose users, and here I am returning this, and we need to use belongs to many. So it is the relations for many to many, belongs to many, and we need to provide the class name for user. So here I will use the user class, and I will provide the name of the table, that is the role user table. Okay, the model is set, and so I'm closing the role model and user model, and here I will insert the role from here. So now let's create a route. So I'm closing the migration, and we need to use the route in web.php, and first we need to use the role controller here, and we'll create a route here. So just route, and I'm using the gate. So here my URL is add role, and after that we need to add the class. So I need to use the class name here, that is role controller, and after that class, and the second parameter we need to use the function name, that is the add role. That's it. So let's run the server, php artisan serve, and if we go to the add role URL, so just go to the link, so here we can see the role added successfully. So if you go to the role table, we can see the 4 roles is added successfully. Actually it was added from role controller. And now insert some data to the user table. So let's create a function to add user. So public function add user. So here I am creating the one user. So just creating a variable, that is user, and I am creating the new user model, and just write down the user name, suppose John, and same way I am providing the user email, suppose user email equal to john@email.com, and after that I need to provide the password for this. So here my password is, suppose in database we have the encrypted format, so we need to use encrypt, and suppose I'm providing my password is suppose password. So and after that we need to save this user table. So I am saving this record, and along with this I am assigning some roles to this user. So how we can add this? So I am creating a role array, suppose a role array. So here we can see in my roles there are 4 roles, 1 2 3 4. Suppose I am going to provide 1 and 3. So for John they have assigned a role for admin and accountant. So I am providing the role array, and after that we need to use the user, and I am providing the roles function here. So here is the roles function, you can check. So in the user table model we will get the roles function. So I am calling the roles function, and I am attaching the array. So here my array is role array, and after that I am sending the message, that is a return user added and role assigned. Okay, so let's call this function. So we need to write a route for that. So just copy it, and we need to provide the function name, that is add user, and here I am using the add user. So if you run this, then we can check. So just click on this, and I'm creating add user. Oh, we need to use the user model here. So just like same, so we will use the user model, and you can check we are using the user here. So just refresh this page, user added and role assigned. So if we check the relationship table, so we can see there is 2 assigned for this user ID. So for this one user we are getting the role ID 1 and 3, that is admin and accountant. So now let's set another user. So just change the value. Suppose I am using the Johnny, and I am using the Johnny@gmail.com, and I am providing suppose the staff and HR. So 2 and 4. So if we use 2 and 4, and I am also want to assign the accountant also, so I can write the 3. So for role 2, for second user they have the 3 role. So just do again, and if we check in database we can see in the role user table, the user for user ID 2, the 3 role inserted, and you can check. So 2 is Johnny. So the data is inserted in 3 tables, and we need to know how to fetch data from these tables. So we can fetch records from user ID, and we can fetch records from role ID. So just let's create 2 functions to fetch from separately. So I'm using first, suppose I'm going to fetch record by user ID. So I'm creating function, suppose public function get role by user ID. So I need to pass the ID here. So by this ID we will fetch the role. So now we need to use, that is users. Suppose I am creating variable that is user, and we will use the user and find, that is the ID, and we will pass this to fetch the roles. So here I am creating the variable roles, and I am using the user variable to get the roles. So here I am using this, and just return roles. So let's create routes. So here my route name, it is function method name get role by user ID. So just call this, and I'm writing here get role by user ID, and I need to pass ID. So here we will provide the ID. So just run this. So I'll run this, and we need to provide the user ID here. I'm going to fetch the record from user John. So I'll just pass the 1. So here you can see this John is associated with admin and accountant. So here you can see John is 1 and 3. That means admin and accountant. So if you want to fetch the record from 2, so just enter, and you can see the staff, accountant, and HR. So here we can get the second ID is associated with 2, 3, and 4 models, 2, 3, and 4 roles, that is staff, accountant, HR. So I'm getting these 3 records. So now let's create another function to fetch record by role. So I'm creating another function, suppose public function get user by role ID. In the same way, we need to pass the ID here. So we will write ID, and let's create a role variable and use the role model to find, and I'm using the ID parameter here, and after that we will create the users variable to get the user from role table. So here the role, and we need to use the users, and just return the users. And the same way we need to call this. So just copy from previous, and we need to call this get user by role ID. So my function is get user by role ID, and get user by role ID. So just copy this and run this. So I will pass the role ID here. So here I will pass, suppose I am passing the 3. So if you pass the 3, so it will get the all records which have role 3. So all are getting, so John and Johnny both have role 3, and if we pass the role ID 2, we'll get only 1 record because only 1 person is associated with this role. So now we can understand the eloquent relationship for many-to-many. If you have any queries, please comment in below comment section. Next day we'll create a CRUD of Laravel, and please subscribe this channel for upcoming video. Thanks for watching this video.